Hello, friends. Good morning to all of you. I hope you are all keeping fine and continue to keep in good health and also study well because this time you have a lot of free time and make use of it for the best purpose. So, we shall today take economics, lesson number 4, food security in India. So we saw in the previous chapters how the people in India are suffering due to lack of insufficient food, and quite many people die out of starvation and so on. So government has taken certain steps in order to overcome this scarcity of food, and how the government is trying to provide food especially for the poor people in order to give them nutrients, in order to give them some good health and so on, because good health is very much necessary in order to make human being as a good resource. A sick person or an unhealthy person cannot be a good resource, and he will be only a liability, that we have already studied in the previous lessons. So in this lesson we will be seeing different programs that government is arranging, the different schemes that government is providing to the people in order to make sure that food is reaching to the poor sections of the society at a cheaper rate and so on. So let us just go through the text and see. Take lesson number 4, page number 42. Food security means availability, accessibility, affordability of food to all people at all times. So we can underline that is the definition of food security. If they ask for exam, what is food security? You can write this. Food security means availability, accessibility, and affordability. So these three lities: availability, accessibility, and affordability. Availability means food should be available to all. It should be available in the shop for the people to buy. That is available. Then second one is accessible. That is, people should be able to buy. It should be near to them. If people in Arunachal Pradesh living there and the rice is available in Delhi, then people have no access to it. It is too far away. So it should be made near to them, accessible to them. People who want to buy, they should be able to buy. And the third thing is, it should be affordable. That means it should not be too costly. If it is too costly, only the rich people will be able to buy. So it should be at a low price so that even the poor people will be able to buy. So that is a food security. That's what the government is trying to provide. It should be available to all. It should be accessible to all. That is near to all, and it should be cheap to all. Everybody can buy. That is a policy that government is following. The poor households are more vulnerable to food insecurity whenever there is a problem of production or distribution of food crops. So whenever there is a problem, the lack of food is there, means in the market the food is not available, very little bit is available, then what happens? The price immediately goes up. If the availability of the food is less, then price is increasing, and then who will be able to buy food? Only the rich people will be able to buy food from, because poor people cannot afford, they will be starving there. So very often when the production is less and the things are not reaching to the market, the poor people are affected. The rich will somehow buy and get enough food for the people. And food security depends on public distribution system. So we'll be studying in detail about this lesson, PDS, public distribution system. That is one of the system that government is using in order to make the food available at a cheaper rate to the people. Then government vigilance and action at times when the security is threatened. So we say government has to be vigilant. That means should be watchful Sometimes it is possible that in the market the shopkeepers can hide the things and say, oh, now things are not available, very little only available, and the price is high, if you want you can buy. So it is possible, some places shopkeepers do that. They hide the thing and say, oh, it is no more available. Little is available, if you pay little high price, I will give. So that is artificial scarcity they are creating. So government should be vigilant to all this. They have to check from the markets, how the things are there, how the price, are they charging too much price. All these are government's responsibility and they have to check that. Then government also have to be in action. So if anybody is doing mistake, if anybody is trying to exploit the poor people, then government has to take action against them, not simply it's okay. That is not. Government has to be active and should take action or punish the guilty and so. Then there should be a good market and everyone will feel equal and even the poor people will feel secure and so on. So it is their duty and responsibility that they have to take care of the poor people, the weaker sections of the society and so on. Now let's see in detail what is this food security. What is this food security? Let's see. So food is an essential for living as air is for breathing. So we know if you want to breathe, there should be air. Air should be available. In the same way, if you want to live or if you want to eat, then food is necessary. Without food, we cannot eat. We cannot eat air, isn't it? We cannot breathe food. If you want to breathe, we need air. The same way, if you want to eat, then there should be food. So both, just as air is essential for breathing, food is also essential for living. Then, but food security means something more than getting 2 square meals. Food security has following dimensions. So it is not just eating 2 times a day, having 2 meals in a day. That is not the food security. It means something much more than that. Let's see in detail what we said, the definition in the beginning. That is availability, accessibility and affordability. Let us see in detail what are these, the deeper meanings of these 3 words. First is availability. So availability of food means food production within the country. The food imports and the previous year stored in government granaries. So the food should be available in our country. It should be produced enough and more. Food grains should be produced enough and more. It should be stored in the godowns and should be made available to the people. The food should be available in our country for distribution to the people. So it is the government's responsibility to make sure that to feed all the people of India, there are enough food grains are sufficient. If it is not sufficient, we have to import from other countries. That is the responsibility of the government. Then accessibility. Accessibility means food is within the reach of every person. So it should be near to the person. As I said, it's not enough to have in the godown there in Delhi. That is not enough. We have to get it near to our place so that we can go and buy. Then affordability. It implies that an individual has enough money to buy sufficient, safe and nutritious food to meet one's dietary needs. That means every person should have enough money to buy that. So if he has no money, then the price of the thing should be brought down. So he should be able to not just buy any kind of food, but he should be able to buy food that is safe, sufficient and nutritious food. So every person needs certain calorie of energy from the food that he eats. So he should eat that sufficient food or safe food which will provide enough calorie for his energy for his body. Then only we can say that person is having food security. So these are the 3 duties or 3 responsibilities of government. And only when all these 3 are fulfilled, we can really say that India has got this food security. otherwise we will not have this food security. So very often these poor people, they are the one suffering, they are the one lacking food security in our country. So let us see in detail again. So thus food security is ensured in a country only if enough food is available. So if you want to say India is food secure, then we should say, or we have to make sure that enough food for all the people of our country is made available, is stored up in our country for 1 year. Then all persons have the capacity to buy food of acceptable quality. Then all the people should be able to buy that food which is of good quality, not just spoiled one, somebody rejected and collecting and bringing, not that one. Should be able to buy the good food that is good for eating and not a waste food. Then there is no barrier on access to food, and there should be no barrier, there should be nothing to block people from buying that food. That means when it is blocked, actually when they don't have enough money, they are blocked, they cannot go and buy food. So people should be in a financial condition, in a safe financial condition to buy food. That means they should have enough money to buy the food. If people are very poor, then government has to make sure that the price of the things are reduced, so that with that little money that they have, they will be able to buy food. So that is all responsibility of the government. Then let's see why there should be food security. Why there should be this food security? So the poorest section of the society might be food insecure. Most of the times, while persons above the poverty line might also be food insecure when the country faces a national disaster or calamity like earthquake, drought, flood, tsunami, widespread failure of crops causing famine, etc. So in our country, we can say, we were talking about in the last class about poverty line. There is an imaginary poverty line. Those who have got a certain amount of money, certain amount of income, they are above poverty line, and those who don't have that much income, they will be below poverty line. So those who are poor, they are below poverty line, and those people are always in a situation, they will be facing this food security because they don't have enough money to buy food every day. Especially if it is a big family, there are 7-8 members means, and there may be old fathers or grandfathers or grandparents may be there, they have to buy medicine. So for all this, they may not have enough money, therefore very often they are not able to have enough food for them, good food for them, so they suffer. So very often the poor people are suffering that. And even the rich people, they are also, sometimes it is possible to suffer, especially when there is some special emergency situation in our country, situation like when there is a national disaster, or when there is a national calamity, or the food may be taken to that side to feed that people. So other places, even if they are rich, the food may not be available in the shops. So such kind of things happen very rarely when there is some emergency situations like earthquake. Suppose one area is affected by earthquake, people have lost everything. They lost their house, they lost their field, everything. The buildings, everything is collapsed. So government may supply the food to that side to look after people of that area. Then this side, sometimes people may suffer because food may not be available here. So that all happens only certain times. So maybe earthquake, or maybe when there is a drought in one area, people have lost all their crops because of the drought. So government may supply more grain that side. Another side, people may not receive. Or when there is flood or tsunami or widespread failure of crops causing famine and so on. So all those things can happen only very rarely. Even the rich people can be affected by this, by lack of food. But that is when there is a national emergency. But when there is national emergency or not, even in the normal situation, the poor people continue to suffer because very often they lack money, they suffer from lack of food in their house. The parents, the grandparents, the children, they all sometimes suffer. Then, How is food insecurity affected during a calamity? We said when there is a calamity, national calamity or natural calamity, even the poor people, the rich people, everybody suffers. Let's see how. Due to a natural calamity, say a drought, total production of food grains decreases. It creates a shortage of food in the affected areas due to shortage of food. The prices goes up. At the high prices, some people cannot afford to buy food. If such calamity happens in a very widespread area or is stretched over a long period of time, it may cause a situation of starvation. So, suppose there is a drought. Let's say a lot of food grains are cultivated or harvested from Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan areas. Suppose there is a drought and all that states fail to produce crop for a year, then what will happen? The food grains in the country becomes low, and even it is not sufficient for their own people in these days, then how can they give to others? So there will be a shortage of food grain in that year, and the government cannot collect the food grain and store in the godown because there is not enough, and therefore that year the food grain production will be very less, and what is available in the market may not be in good quantity. There may be only small amount, therefore the price will be high, and only the rich people will be able to buy that. Those who are very poor, those who are even the medium class people, they will not be able to buy. So they will be continue to suffer from lack of food available. So that is how when there is national calamity occurs, the total production of the food grain comes down. And government, whatever is there also, government may use to help the people who are affected by flood or drought or other things and so that is always we have to keep in mind, the government has to keep in mind that such kind of things can happen. Therefore government has to take extra precaution to gather enough food grains in order to protect and preserve the people and provide them food in their needs. Then if such calamity happens in a very widespread area or is stretched over a long period, it may cause a situation of starvation. So when there is not enough food for the people, or the people are not able to cultivate properly because of lack of water or drought or other flood or whatever it is, then that situation is continuing for a long time. Then for people there will not be food for many days, and the situation like starvation may take place. That is a very dangerous situation. Many people may die out of starvation without food and so on. Then a massive starvation might take a turn of famine. So if such a starvation is there for a long time and so many people are suffering from this starvation, then we can say that is like a famine. People are suffering from famine. That is a very serious situation. Let's see, a column is given there. What is given there? So in 1970s, food security was understood as availability at all times of adequate supply of basic foodstuffs. So in the year 1917, the understanding of what is food security means availability of at all times of adequate supply of basic foodstuffs. So the basic foodstuffs, what the people eat necessarily, maybe the rice or maybe the potato. So whatever it is they eat in their daily life, that should be available at all times. Whether there is a national calamity or not, food should be available throughout, always. Then only we can say we have food security. So Amartya Sen added a new dimension to food security and emphasized the access to food through what he called entitlements. So Amartya Sen is a famous economist from India, and he added one more word to this. He said it is not enough that food is available, but it also should be accessible to the people. People should be able to buy it, should be able to afford to buy it. Otherwise, just having availability alone is not enough. The people are not able to buy, then it is not useful. Therefore, people should be able to buy it, available, accessible, and so on. And a combination of what one can produce, exchange in the market along with state or other socially provided supplies. So people should be able to buy from the market. It should be accessible to the people. If it is not there in the market, if it is remaining in the godown, then it is no use. People are not able to get access to it. Then, accordingly, there has been a substantial shift in the understanding of food security. In 1995, World Food Summit declared food security at the individual, household, regional, national, and global levels exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. So because of this, Amartya Sen added one more word that was accepted by all, and then the definition of food security was changed. So what is the latest definition of food security that was declared by World Food Summit in 1995? So according to it, food security at the individual, that means every person should have food security, every household should have food security, every region should have food security, every nation and every country in the world, that means every person in the world should have food security. And what kind of food security? At all times, not just harvesting time alone, but at all times they should have the sufficient food. They should have, they have physical and economical access to sufficient. So they should have physical access, that means they should be able to go and buy in person, that is called physical access. Another one is economic access, that means I should have money to buy that food. Simply I go to the shop and say give me rice, they will not give. I need to have money also in my hand. So the food should be near to me, that means near my place. Then I also should have enough money to buy that food. Then only I can say food security. Then what kind of food they should buy? I should buy sufficient food. So since the price is very high, I buy little bit and come, and not sufficient for all the members of the family. Then food is not sufficient. So I should be able to buy sufficient food. For that, the food should be available, and I should have enough money to buy sufficient food. Then it should be safe food, not simply waste food or rotten food. I should be able to buy good food and safe food. And what else? It should be nutritious food. So it should have proper nutrition. So very often we buy, the poor people buy the cheap food, which does not have much nutrition and so on, just for satisfying the hunger, but the bodily they will become weak and weak. So that is not having enough nutrition. That's why. So the people should be able to have the food nearby in the shop, and should have enough money to buy that food, and the food should have a good, safe and nutritious value. Then only all the people, we can say, they have got this food security. Then the declaration further recognizes that poverty eradication is essential to improve access to food. So the declaration, the World Food Summit declared again, saying one more, adding one more sentence. What did they say? They said poverty eradication is essential. So very often people are not able to buy food or not able to have food because they are very poor. They have no job, they have no health to work and so on. So government should take some steps to eradicate. Eradicate means remove poverty. People should be made rich. They should be able to get employment and so on. Then people will be able to have money and buy food for themselves. And that way the poverty will be removed and people will be healthy and so on. So that is the knowledge about what is the real meaning of food security. Then we said, if people continue to suffer for starvation for many days, then it will create a situation like famine. So let's see what is famine. A famine is characterized by widespread of deaths due to starvation. So people are not able to eat food or not having food for many days, then they will start dying. Not just one or two persons, all the poor people will be start dying, and that is called famine. If many people are dying out of starvation, then that is called famine. Then epidemics caused by forced use of contaminated water or decaying food and loss of body resistance due to weakening from starvation. So when they are starving or when they are not eating food for many days, what will happen? Epidemics will happen, sicknesses will happen, and maybe because they are drinking contaminated water, the water that is not pure, the water that is containing a lot of bacteria and so on. So poor people cannot afford to get good drinking water, therefore they drink whatever is available and they may get sick. Or they may be eating decaying food. They are not able to have good food, so they may be eating spoiled food, decayed food, waste food and so on. So if you go to some hotels and so we can see the poor people sitting and taking from the waste bucket for them to eat, because they have no money to eat good food. Therefore they eat this kind of waste food and they may get sick and so on. And if they eat this waste food and drink contaminated water, what happens? Their body gets sick, they don't have the resistance power, and therefore they may get sick and so on. So many people will die by eating waste food or spoiled food and drinking contaminated water and so on. Then the most devastating famine that occurred in India was the famine of Bengal in 1943. So in India's history, the worst famine that happened was in 1943. That was in Bengal. Before India got independence, that happened once. And this famine killed 30 lakh people in the province of Bengal. So in Bengal alone, how many people died? 30 lakh people died because of hunger. So that was a real burden. We can say a burden, or it was a real disaster. About 30 lakhs people dying without having enough food. That was a real problem. Then, do you know who were affected the most by the famine? So when that famine was there in West Bengal, who were the people affected most? The agricultural laborers, so people who were working in the agricultural field. Then the fishermen, the transport workers, and other casual laborers, people who are working in other places, maybe constructing buildings, road building and so on. Then affected the most by dramatically increasing the price of rice. They were the ones who died in this famine. So when famine was there, the food supply was less and the price of the food increased. Whatever was there in the market, the price was increased. Therefore, these poor people, the farmers, the fishermen, the casual workers, the construction workers, they all did not have work. They did not get any work, therefore they have no money and they could not buy food. So they died. So most of these 30 lakh people, out of these 30 lakh people died, most of them were these poor people, the workers, the daily laborers and so on. Others were able to survive. So whenever there is a famine, whenever there is a calamity, it is these poor people who are affected most. They are the ones who are suffering most and so on. And you can see in that chart given there, production of rice in the province of Bengal. So in the Bengal, how much of rice was produced? You can see year by year it is given. So in 1938, 85 lakh tons of rice was produced. So government did not import anything, that was sufficient, and did not do exporting also. And total availability was 85. The following year, the production was only 79 lakh, and that was not enough. Therefore, government imported from other countries 4 more tons. So total became 83. Then the following year, the production was 82. Then government imported 3 lakh tons more. Then total became 85. Then in 41, the production went down again. It was only 68 lakh tons. Then government imported only 2 more. Early we see when there was 82 tons were produced in India, government imported 3 lakh tons more. Now here only 68 was produced in the country, and government imported only just 2 lakh tons. That was too less. So total was only 70. Previously there were 85 tons available, and that year 1941 only 70 lakh tons were available. Then in 42, the production in India increased very fast. It became all-time high. 93 lakh tons were produced, and that was enough. Therefore, government did not import anything. Not only that, 1 lakh ton it was exported. So government sold 1 lakh ton of rice. So total availability was 92. Then for the following year, the production was very low again. It came down again. Only 76 tons were produced. Then government imported 3 lakh tons more, and the total was 79 lakh tons. So the total was very low. Like because previous year also in 1941 also it was very low, and in 1943 also the production was very low. That's why that year famine occurred, and the people did not have enough rice to eat, and the government did not bother to import enough rice. So 30 lakh people died. You can imagine 30 lakh people dying without sufficient food. That was a great famine that occurred in the land of India. So we shall stop today, and we will continue in the next class about food security, how the people affected, especially the poor people, are affected because of this lack of food supply, lack of affordability, accessibility, and so on. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.